Over the past 2 weeks, I should say, we have explored, what contemporary uh, psychology had to say on the topic of human flourishing and happiness as it relates to the subject matter, the good life. In fact, we have explored multiple lenses: positive psychology, philosophical tradition, and poetic expression. We have also read Paul T.P. Wrong's important article, Positive Psychology 2.0, toward a balanced interactive model of the good life. We've also watched Robert Waldinger's incredible instructional video on YouTube, What Makes a Good Life Lesson from the Longest Study on Happiness. We read the poem Love After Love by the Nobel Prize winner, Derek Walcott. And from there, we've explored other perspectives on happiness and well being. We begin with Maya Angelou's poem, Phenomenal Woman, and Laura A. King's article, What Makes a Life Good. And later on, in the second week of class, in the second part of the fourth week or week 4, we read Viktor Frankl, One Man's Search for Meaning. This is an incredibly piece of article that sees happiness from a perspective. In fact, Victor argues that it's impossible to be happy, to have a fulfilled life without suffering, okay, and in the very sense of the word. And he argues that we should take joy in suffering. This is not a popular perspective as it relates to the good life. And we read the poem Kindness by Naomi Nye and Buddha's Four Noble Truths. And we listened to Men in the Mirror by Michael Jackson. So I wanted to do a quick overview of what we went through for essay number 2, because the following instructions that I'm providing to you pertain to essay number 2. Okay, so for essay number 2, I have assigned 2 prompts. So you're going to select one of the prompts for your research topic. Let me go over some due dates, then I'll provide further details about the prompts themselves. So the thesis statement, the topic or the prompt you want to explore in the 3 secondary sources are due Wednesday, June 18th. The planning sheet or document or essay outline is due Friday, June 20th. The final document, that is the complete essay, is due Sunday, June 22nd. So I want you to use the rubric posted on Blackboard for specific instructions. I've also emailed those 2 rubrics to you as they pertain to prompt number 1 and prompt number 2 respectively. Okay, let's go over the first prompt. So for prompt number 1, you're going to do a comparative reflection, about 700 to 800 words. The essay title would be Redefining the Good Life, Bridging Psychology, Philosophy, and Poetry. So you're going to use Paul Wrong's article on Positive Psychology 2.0, Robert Waldinger's TED Talk, and Derek Walcott's poem Love After Love to discuss how contemporary psychology, philosophical ideas like eudaimonia that we went over, and poetic expression converge or diverge in their definitions of a good and fulfilling life. In your analysis, I want you to consider that's the first question, how do empirical research and personal introspection complement each other? How do empirical research and personal introspection complement each other? The second question I want you to consider in your essay: do these sources point toward a common vision of flourishing, or do they diverge? Okay. Number three question I want you to consider in your essay: what insights challenge or affirm your own views on happiness based on Wrong's article, Waldinger's TED Talk, Walcott's poem, Love After Love? So I want you to use specific examples from the text, the primary text that I just cited, and then secondary text. You need three sources, okay? So you'll be able to connect, these various, arguments, comments to your personal and social observations. And let's go forward to talk about prompt number 2. Again, it's also a comparative reflection of 700 to 800 words. The title of the essay is Suffering, Meaning, and the Human Spirit. So the focus here is on meaning making, right? Meaning making. Just like Victor says, so we can actually make meaning through suffering, right? So meaning making, resilience, ethics, and creative resistance. So drawing from Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning, Part 1, the Book of Job, and the Four Noble Truths of Buddhism. So you're writing an essay to explore how different traditions understand suffering and the human search for meaning. And I want you to consider these three questions as you're investigating, as you're researching, and you'll be writing your essay. Number 1, what do these sources suggest about the purpose or value of suffering? Is there any value when we suffer, for example? Is there a purpose when we suffer? Again, there are different categories of suffering. It's like there are different categories of disasters: man-made disasters, natural disasters. The second question I want you to consider is this: how do they differ? I'm talking about the sources and their solutions or attitude towards pain and injustice. So I'm looking for the differences, how each perspective articulates its individual point of view on pain and injustice in the world. Okay? And number 3, or the third question, I want you to consider: what role does choice, faith, or detachment play in navigating adversity? Adversity is another word for challenges, pain. Okay, so we're talking about, does faith, religion, in other words, or spirituality playing a significant role in navigating adversity, suffering, or pain? How about our personal choices? How about our collective choices, do they have an impact? Do they influence uh, adversity, suffering? As you know, the book of Job, for example, is about suffering, right? The Four Noble Truths of Buddhism, okay, incorporates the idea of suffering. Victor's article, Men Search for Meanings, about suffering, finding a fulfilled, a happy, a fulfilling life through suffering, adversity. You see, suffering takes different perspective. It could be uh, injustice, social injustice. Could be discrimination. You know, there are different categories, there are different expressions. So these are some of the questions I want you to consider if you choose prompt 2 for your research essay. And make sure you use specific examples from the primary text and secondary text and connect them to your personal or social observations. Now, when I say personal observations, I'm not asking you to write in the first person. That is using I, you, my. No, this is an academic essay. I want you to write in the third person, okay? I hope the instructions provided for essay number 2 were helpful to you.